Alright, so this is a video showing a little bit of residue that I've found throughout the years of the Mandela effect that have made it through. And just for everybody who's watching, I am not a YouTuber, never made videos for YouTube before, so don't trash me in the comments about what a terrible quality this is. And with that being said, let's get into it. So this first picture here is for anybody who knows the Mandela effects. Of the mirrors are objects in the mirrors may be closer than they appear. This was a video that I was watching from a channel called Professor of Rock, and it was just a quick clip. And if you zoom in, I know it's hard to see, but it looks to me like it's showing objects in the mirror are closer than they appear, even though some of it's cut off. So I just thought that was interesting, that because it's kind of a blurred picture, and that's probably why it didn't get changed, as far as I know. Here's another one here with the Charles Schultz. It says right here in the title, Schultz with the L, or with the T instead of Scholes as it is now. But then in the picture, if you look in, you can zoom in. It shows it as it is now without the T. Kind of interesting, why they would be posting something for sale. Kids say the darndest things and spell the author's name wrong in the title. This one is interesting. This is a little artist rendition commemorating the death of Winston Groom, who was the author of Forrest Gump, when he died. And the quote that they put in there is, "Life is like a box of chocolates," which is interesting because that was never the quote in the movie. So that was kind of a funny one. This here is a website I found that has archived Jeopardy questions, and I typed in to search Ellis Island. So as you can see, Ellis Island is all lit up, and all the middle column is all about Ellis Island. You can see different facts about Ellis Island. So these are the top 3 comments, and then on the second screenshot here, more about World War II, Ellis Island, and then all of a sudden, the answer was the Statue of Liberty. Okay, I don't know why the Statue of Liberty would be an answer for a question about Ellis Island when it never was on Ellis Island. So I thought that was an interesting one too. And that's some of the internet residue I found. This one was kind of fun because, this is Uncle Sam. For those who know, Uncle Sam's hat does not have the stripes on it anymore. But I found these bobbleheads that have the stripes on them. But what was interesting about this is that this was when I was on a road trip, and I stopped into Philadelphia to visit the Liberty Bell. So after we've seen the Liberty Bell and got our pictures or whatever, we went across the street to the gift shop in the visitor center for the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia, the city where, early America was, it was a big part. And they're selling these bobbleheads in Philadelphia in the gift shop at the Liberty Bell with Uncle Sam with the stripes on his hat. So I thought that was pretty interesting. This was when I was on a trip to Las Vegas, and we went to a little museum, and we were walking in and seeing this machine. And of course, Zoltar was interesting because it just says Zoltar. Zoltar doesn't say Zoltar speaks. And of course, we wanted to do it because, I was with my kid, and, we'd watched Big when she was little. So we did it, and we put our dollar in and, did the whole thing. And then what was interesting, I believe when we got the card out with our little fortune, the card actually did say Zoltar speaks. Like, I can't be for sure. Like, I'll have to find the card and double check, but it was kind of weird because, you know, the machine doesn't say anywhere about any Zoltar speaks. It's just Zoltar. But then the card we got did say Zoltar speaks. So that was a kind of interesting one. This was on that same road trip from when I went to New York and then Philadelphia. From there, we went to Niagara Falls. And on the way home, this is as we were traveling across the bridge. I don't know why it's sideways, but we were coming home and we were driving across the bridge from Canada into Ohio. And this was a little magnet on the back of a car that was, you know, crossing the bridge with us. And I had to take it. And that looks to me, you know, kind of like the old way, like they're all kind of right in the middle. Like it looks very different. Like it doesn't look, it's not all off-center like the majority of Mandela, you know, the new Union Jack flag, or not the new flag, but the way it is now. So that was an interesting one. And then this one, I don't know, this one's a little more, if you know about the Mandela, about Moses's, when Moses was, you know, trying to get the people, the Israelites, released from Egypt, and he went to talk to the Pharaoh, and when he threw down his staff and it became a snake, which now the reality is that it was Aaron who threw down his staff and turned into a snake. But you can see, I think this was Wiki, which, you know, like I'm not a big fan of Wiki, but it is interesting that they have the account written as looks like the second sentence down, that, you know, Jehovah was, or Yahweh was performing some miracles, and it says amongst to, you know, in order to bolster Moses' credibility, among other things, his staff was transmuted into a snake, Moses' hand was temporarily made leprous, and so on. But it says the very first thing was that Moses' staff was turned into a snake, which isn't right. Like, you know, they got that one wrong somehow. That one, the Chuck E. Cheese, we'll do that one. I guess we'll do that one next. This was really interesting because I know the Chuck E. Cheese has flip-flopped. If you know, in my memories, I've been following the Mandela effect probably since 2016. So I believe it was initially Chuck E. Cheese, then it switched to Chuck E. Cheese's, and people thought it was weird. It's like, what? Wow, what's Chuck E. Cheese's? And then it flip-flopped back. Well, this was a post that my buddy, an actual personal friend of mine, this John Crestle, posted about, you know, a fight or something that happened in a Chuck E. Cheese in his town in Cincinnati, near him, and so he posted it and made a comment. But what I thought was funny is that he puts in Chuck E. Cheese without the S, but yet the building clearly says Chuck E. Cheese's with the S, and so I thought that was interesting that it caught that. But then I was talking to my buddy last night actually, and showed him this picture, who's kind of a skeptic of the Mandela effect, and we got into it. And he had mentioned that he spelled it Chucky with 2 E's, which triggered a memory that, you know, back when people were talking about this and had discovered this Mandela effect, you know, some people remembered it with 2 E's, the Chucky with 2 E's, and now it's not that way, but yet he spelled it that way, with the picture clearly being, you know, on the screen that he was posting, you know, not clearly right. So I dug a little more into it and discovered that, you know, back when everybody was covering this Mandela effect, you know, all the research that they could find was that it was one way or the other. It never been both. But now if you search, like I just searched this last night, and today is April 28th, and so when I searched this last night, that now apparently the history is that the name of Chuck E. Cheese was from the beginning, you know, when it was founded in 1979, I think it was, to 1980. I can't remember the dates, to 1989 maybe. The original name was Chuck E. Cheese's Pizzeria and Theater. Chuck E. Cheese's Theater and Pizzeria. And then in 1990, it changed to Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza. And then at some point, it changed to Chuck E. just Chuck E. Cheese. And I just find that one odd because, you know, you would think that, you know, of all the people that covered this, I know like Moneybags made, you know, video on this. Guy Fawkes has made a couple of recent videos within the last like 6 months or whatever, where he was having a disagreement with, I think, some pastor that was trying to debunk the Mandela effect, and he was using Chuck E. Cheese as an example, and was talking about how it was always just one way and never the other way. And now the official history is that it's always been both ways. It's been Chuck E. Cheese's Pizzeria and Theater, or Theater and Pizzeria, and then Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza, and then changed to just Chuck E. Cheese as what it is now. But yet this building, you know, is showing the Chuck E. Cheese's. And this post, I believe, was from 2019. My Facebook had actually gotten deleted, the one that I screenshotted this from. So I just went and found, so you can search the WLTW.com archives, which is a news station in Cincinnati, and they still have this article up there in their archives with the same picture, with it being Chuck E. Cheese. And I believe it was 2019 or 2018, somewhere along there. So that was an interesting. So that's just some of the basic, you know, ones that I could find. And then here's one. Like, I had a picture of this. I was in Target one day, and I seen this book, and I thought, well, that's interesting. This is a book written by Fred Rogers, you know, Mr. Rogers' neighborhood guy, and it's the poetry of Mr. Rogers. But yet the name of his book is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, just like the movie is. Yet that's not the way the song goes. So that was kind of a weird thing for him to, you know, name his book after the song that just didn't belong. So then this last one, this last picture here, has a little bit of a story behind it. It was a picture that I took, and I thought it was kind of funny because I take this service road all the time, probably 4 or 5 times a week, because it's service road that I use to get home from places that I go to all the time. There's a Chick-fil-A, gas station. I use it all the time, and I pass the sign all the time. And there was a sign right here next to this bump right here on the road that said speed hump. And I just always thought it was funny because 99% of the signs, you know, say speed bump in my city. Like, I'm not sure if it's, you know, across the U.S., if speed hump is a particularly common use or name for it instead of speed bump. But I just thought it was funny. But what the other funny part is that normally that sign is, you know, a good 10, 15 feet in front of the speed bump, to give you some warning. So, you know, you see the sign, you're like, oh, there's a speed bump coming up, I need to slow down. But it's right next to the speed bump. So I thought, I'm going to take a picture of this with my dash cam, and I thought it'd be funny to post on Facebook and be like, you know, thanks for the warning, because, you know, the sign's right next to the speed bump. So by the time you see the sign, you're about to hit the speed bump, and you don't have time to slow down anyway. And so I took the picture, you know, a couple years ago, and then totally forgot to, you know, upload it and do all that until one day, you know, like I'm coming home from the Chick-fil-A, or it's actually Raising Cane's, the Raising Cane's, and I'm taking the service road, and I look up and I see the sign now says speed bump. And I thought, oh man, that's weird. That sucks. You know, they changed it. I always thought it was funny that it said speed hump instead of speed bump. And so I'm like, I'm wondering when they changed the sign. But then as I was driving by, I looked at it and I'm like, because I had just been by there a couple of days before and it said speed hump, just like it always had for years. And so as I'm driving by the sign, I seen it changed. And when I looked closer at it, it was not a new sign. Like, it had only been a couple of days, but it wasn't a new sign. You could tell, like, there was obviously some of the clear plastic coating on the left side that had been worn off. And so I thought, okay, maybe they just got an old sign from out of storage and put up the sign, changed it, and didn't use a brand new sign. So I went and I pulled the SD card out of my dash cam, put it onto my computer, and uploaded it. And this is what the sign says. And I was clearly, I don't know if you can see that very good, but the sign of the, when I took the picture, it said speed hump, clearly said speed hump. And I was with my daughter, and she's the only one that can verify this. So this is my own personal Mandela. This is not anything that anybody can verify. But I just thought it was interesting because it kind of freaked me out that not only did the sign change in real life, but the sign changed in the picture that I had taken like 3 years prior to that. So the sign clearly says speed bump instead of speed hump. And it just kind of blew my mind. So that was my own personal Mandela effect. I still drive by that every couple of days. And, that's my little story of, some residue that I found of the Mandela effect. And, I guess that's all I got in this video. I just thought I'd share with anybody who likes seeing the residue, with some real live pictures. Like, these were all taken from my own personal camera. They weren't ones that I found on the internet, or at least these four. And I have this picture, even though this is a screenshot. I couldn't find the picture, and I actually have a few more pictures of residue that, if I find them, I will make another little video. But yeah, so that's it. That's my residue that I found. Thought it was kind of interesting. And thanks for watching. Hope you guys all have a good day, and keep finding residue out there, because the Mandela effect is real. And maybe we don't understand what it is or why it's happening, but it's out there. And all we can do is talk about it and share the message, and try to make people aware of it. So thanks for listening.